Hello, this is Kim Nelson, continuing this video this morning. Going to go into how to actually maquette, do a 3D sketch of a dome ring, based off of the now loose 3D technical that I have here in place. First thing I need to do is create a swept surface that I can then modify to recreate what I have in my drawing. And let's see. I'll begin doing a straight line. Both sides at the ring bore. I do need to know where the thickness on this is at the ring bore. So I will do a section command. Also going to want that information off the front view. I work in a different color. That's not as visible as I would like it to be. Switch over to white. So, straight line, both sides, coming off the width of the side view. That corresponds to 3 and 9 o'clock here on the ring bore. Go ahead and offset this curve. Capture the outside. Also going to want to have a cross section at the top here. So to generate that, I'm going to want to do a few things. I'm going to ungroup this drawing. I need to actually continue this on its natural arc, and to do that I'm going to do extend curve. Actually, I'm going to do blend curve, sorry, with an arc blend. And just accept the result. I'm going to join those together. And now I will return and do my section. Also want that information here. Although that's just a quad snap, I don't really need to put a point in there, but I'm putting it in so that it's clear what's going on for those of you at home. Straight horizontal. Offset that up. Capture the top. I'm going to explode this view, or ungroup it, I should say. Not entirely convinced I'm going to get a good intersection here, but I'll try. See that? That's apparent intersections. I never want to have that active. And unfortunately, since I'm still a little pokey finding my way around the options in Rhino 6, there we go. I do not want apparent intersections at all. Just making sure there's that should take care of it. Let's see if it did or didn't. It didn't. Okay. It's going to be a little harder to find in Rhino 6 than it used to be. For now, I'm just going to make sure that I rotate the view to get what I want. It's a very annoying thing to have turned on. And blend curve adjustable. Just to see. Actually, that's not bad. Okay. Better than I'd hoped. Going to join these together and do a closed curve. I'm going to split that view to give me a top section, cross section there. And so I'm going to do the same thing here. Actually, I'm going to, right here, I'm going to turn that off so that that's where to turn that apparent intersections off in Rhino 6 is located. So got that. I'm going to do a fillet command to tidy that up. Adjustable blend curve. I'm going to hold down the shift key so I adjust both of these handles at the same time. That's good. Going to mirror that over. Join these together. I can delete that, and that, and that. Now I need a rail that I can use. Going to take it. Now I have a circle here. In Rhino, whenever I have a circle and I'm doing a ring, I want the closed curve seam to be at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and check that now. There we go. And I'm going to copy this. I have the project turned on. Yeah. I normally do keep project on my object snaps because I use it more often than not. But when you're trying to do precision moving, using object snaps, it really gets in the way. Mirror this over. And now I have a basic skeleton that I can start sweep with. I'm going to turn off some layers so that it's easier to see what I have here. I don't need these points anymore. I have a, oh, need one more. Would like to also have a copy of this profile of the ring from the front. I have everything I need here except for when you're doing a swept surface, you want all your cross sections and rails to touch. You don't have to do that. Rhino will forgive you, but it's poor hygiene. You really do want them to match. So I'm going to non-uniform scale this top cross section. I want to copy. I don't want to lose the original. I'm going to have to escape to get out of that command, otherwise Rhino's just going to keep making more copies. I'm going to put this back with the rest of the right view it came from. And now I have what I need to do a swept surface. I do need to cut my rails off so that they don't extend beyond my sections. And this is the basic language or vocabulary of a swept surface. Rails, 1, 2, or 3 or more, depending on the command you're using, and sections. All of these are polycurves right now. If I explode this, it's 2 segments. If I explode this, it's 4 segments. If I explode this, it's 4 segments. Okay? Normally that would be a real nightmare and I would need to rebuild all of those curves. But I'm going to be doing a surface from curve network. And one of the beauties and limitations of surface from curve network is that you cannot end up with something that is not a single surface. You can't get a poly surface out of a surface from curve network. So, surface from curve network, select the rails first, then select the sections. And that will do. Going to want something that's a little more visible for our purposes, so I'll go to that. I can turn off the curves layer now. So this is going to be our basic construction device. I do not want a ton of control points on here. That's really not terrible. I'm getting some interesting warpage here. But still, that's not a problem for what we're going to do. I am going to take a look and see what the surface is right now. It's 23 versus 13. I do want to keep the 13 because it's going to give me a control point seam along the midline, which is really helpful for symmetrical work. The really dense 23, that's a lot to cover that kind of curvature, but it's all right. I'll keep it. So the next step in this process is we're going to modify this surface so it matches our top view. I am going to copy this, paste it, and put it in storage so that I can access it later. In case I want to go back. I'm going to move this top view so that it sits above what I'm doing, and I'm going to lock it so I don't select it accidentally. I'm going to turn on the control points. And the command I'm going to use a lot is found here. If you go to your select tab and you get your lasso points button and you hit the select points, that's what I have slashed over here on the side. This is where I normally keep it. I use this a lot if I'm going to be doing control point editing. Having a difficult time getting it to lock along the sidebar there like I like it to. Getting a hard time getting it to dock anywhere. Okay, for now I'll just leave it there. I'm going to start modifying points. It's very important when I'm doing this that I'm very tidy. I want to select strictly the rows I want to work with. So I'm going to select a point from each row that I want to manipulate. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm either going to be selecting U or V. Rhino assigns the grain of a surface, U and V coordinates, kind of arbitrarily. So I'm not sure which direction this is. I believe it's U. So So I'll hit that, and yes, it worked out. So from now on, I'll be hitting select view to get what I want. I am going to use the gumball. Those of you who know me know that I'm not a fan of the gumball, normally speaking. But for this exercise, it comes in very handy. And I'm just going to select rows symmetrically and pull them out using the non-uniform scale button here, or block at the end of the widget there, to get what I want. Okay. It might help at this point to go shaded. So I can see more clearly what I'm doing. It would be nice to have this view information in a darker, easier to see format. There we go. And now I'm going to finesse this a bit. In an effort to get this to line up well with my drawing. Okay, that's the best I'm going to be able to do there. So now I need to come into my perspective viewport so I can get a better idea of what I'm working on here. I want those two rows now. I'm going to push them way in for a minute just so I can see what's happening. And then the next two rows. And now I'm going to grab the bottom two rows. I actually hit this button just to make sure they were all selected, because if I leave one point out, I will have a problem. And see, I pulled those in a long ways just to kind of get them out of the way, because I'm not getting enough information visible to me in the top view to make sure that I'm staying faithful to my drawing. Tempted to push that in a little bit. And then compensate by pulling the next rows out. And that's the game, basically, to try and make that work as best we can. So this is giving me a fairly accurate view of my ring from the top. Now I need to check it from the side. Okay, and you can see how different this is. I am going to move this view. Actually, I need all of it. Both pieces, and I'm going to move it off to the right. Now, by the way, in Rhino, the way you can tell you're off to the right is when you're looking down, your X axis line should go off to the right, and everything over here is on the right side. So now when I come into the right view, I should be able to modify this. I'm going to make a copy of this. And my goal here is now going to be to modify this as much as I can to follow what I thought my side view would be without destroying what my top view is. I'm going to go ahead and drag a selection window. So I grab a few points from each one of these rows, and once again, it's important to do that window selection so that you get the points all the way across. Otherwise, only one side of your ring is going to update. And I don't want to go too extreme with this in the video because we don't have the time. But it should show you the point I'm trying to make. And that point is that we drew this very carefully, but when you're doing technical drawing on a domed surface, all bets are off. Mechanical drafting was actually designed for mechanical forms. Blocks and cubes and planes with corners that you can accurately plot and verify. This ring has none of those. So, this maquette is faithful to the side view, whereas the other one is faithful to the top. And let's see how far off we are. What happened to my top view? Oh, here we go. So you can see the difference. In order to follow that side view, I have a much chunkier top view as it comes around. Mind you, remember that since I've only been pulling the points along the y-axis, the front view is perfect. It hasn't changed. But that matches my side. Now if I want my other drawing to be its best compromise, as it were, then I would need to come into here, turn on the points, and understand which portion of this ring it's safe for me to change. And that's really only the points from here down. Everything else is going to really impact the top. And you can see that by rotating to the top. These are peripheral. It's still going to change, but it won't change it as much. I had snap on. Never have snap on. Grid snap when you're doing control point edit. So I'm going to try and pull these so I get a reasonably nice flow coming off of there. Same thing here. In fact, if I wanted to, I could draw a reference line from this point with the both sides option down to here, and then I could extend that curve. Dragging it outward. So that I could use it as a guide for the rest of the points. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Okay, that's a reasonable guess. Now that is still largely following our top view. It widens out a little as it comes around here. But it departs fairly from our side view. And this is probably the route I would go. Anyway, I'll continue on with this in another video. Thanks so much for watching.